the Godfather. The year of the Godfather. 2020 was a bitch. What? All I wanna do is this. What? 2021. Come on. A nigga thought he was done. Hating ass bitches everywhere. Dick riding in the air. Good guys better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass bitches everywhere. Dick riding in the air. Good guys better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass bitches everywhere. Dick riding in the air. Good guys better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass bitches everywhere. Dick riding in the air. Good guys better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Last year was a bitch. Good guys took over this shit. All I wanna do is this. New niggas from everywhere. New niggas didn't sit and stare. D. Durrell was always aware, but my roast was too hard to bear. There ain't no fucking stopping me. Detroit nigga pocket watching me. I rose the channel from the dead. Turn the bank account from black to red. New niggas tried to make a name. Tried to challenge me and put me to shame. 1 month after another. Can't stop the Godfather. Hating ass bitches everywhere. Dick riding in the air. Good guys better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass bitches everywhere. Dick riding in the air. Good guys better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass bitches everywhere. Dick riding in the air. Good guys better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass bitches everywhere. Dick riding in the air. Good guys better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Find a nigga fucking house soon. Word about a damn auto-tune. Let a nigga beef in peace. When you gonna release a beat? Motherfucker in the manosphere. Lame ass can't keep it real. Called Channel 2 cause he couldn't take it. Next week channel terminated. Everybody gotta deal with trolls. Communist bitches with fucked up froze. Nigga lose their damn job over dough. Grown man and white fucking slow. Andrew Stewart on the last leg. No far found from the state feds. If I ain't talking about you, that mean you ain't working, that's the fucking truth. Hating ass bitches everywhere. Dick riding in the air. Good guys better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass bitches everywhere. Dick riding in the air. Good guys better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass bitches everywhere. Dick riding in the air. Good guys better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass bitches everywhere. Dick riding in the air. Good guys better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. "2020 was a bitch. All I wanna do is this. Motherfucking Godfather. 2021. Nigga thought he was done. 2020 was a bitch. All I wanna do is this. Motherfucking Godfather. 2021. What? A nigga thought he was done.
Welcome, everybody. This is D. Durrell with D. Durrell, the Rebirth. It's been a long time. It's been a long time since I've been doing content. Guys, I'm going to say this. I was out for a little bit. About 2 Fridays ago, I was in a position where I ended up contracting coronavirus, isolated for like 5 days last week, was chilling. Over the last 3 to 4 days, I've been feeling pretty good without any symptoms and so on. So I'm back at work again, doing my thing, doing what I got to be doing. Give a shout out to West Bank VDA 504, one of my Louisiana brothers. What's up, CE? What's up, guys? I like to give a shout out to everybody in the black sector. This is D Darrell with the Black Manosphere. Again, guys, this is the Manosphere, which is an alternative to the Manosphere. Yes, guys, I do understand. I did take a hiatus for a little bit due to trying to recover and chilling, getting myself straight, which I'm good now. So we're going to have a discussion today because while I was out, I was watching a lot of YouTube. Now, I'm in various sectors. I wasn't in the Umar Johnson sector that much. I was in the Manosphere and the other black sectors and so on, the co-ed sectors. I've been over there in the clouds and in the chat. So people are wondering, D. Darrell, you don't usually do content on Sista George. That's right, I don't. Because I like Sista George. Before I go into this, I like femininity breakdown, the tough talk. I like Sista George's presence. Now, we don't see eye to eye on a lot of that red pill bullshit that she talk about with the manosphere, but that's fine. That's okay. That's okay. I don't like some of that, the black male identified, whatever that may, be or whatever, where that come from. I'm not in line with women saying that. What's up, Marquise 912? You in the house? So now it's time for me to give a bit of a introduction into why I'm doing the content. Okay, as many people know in the space, there's been some issues going on through the death of Kevin Samuel. Now, the death of Kevin Samuel has sparked a lot of controversy. A lot of controversy. And in that, people are rekindling the idiotic talking points of Kevin Samuel. You have those who agree and those who disagree. And then you have those that are just in the middle. And then you have those who are just looking for whatever content that they can get, and they're going to comment on whatever when it comes to Kevin Samuel, because Mr. Samuels brings views whether he dead or alive. Now, you all know I'm not a Kevin Samuels fan. I have done several videos against Kevin Samuels' talking points. And a lot of what he said I felt was irreprehensible. And it was just outright wrong with no basis. But there's others who think otherwise. There are tons of people who are going to support Kevin Samuel no matter what. The Kevin Samuels defense team, they got Kevin Samuels every goddamn thing. Now, as you all know, I am a good friend of Faith. I've been a stunt supporter of Faith. I've done content with Faith. What's up, LV? Shout out to LV. Check out his wrestling channel. Wrestling is lit. I've been watching this channel the whole weekend and last night. It's lit. Now, Marquis said, now that Kevin Samuel gone, all these women found a high-value man overnight. Now that's funny because nobody was claiming this high value success when he was alive. Now, as you all know, me and Faith have been real cool. Shout out to Faith Factor. If she's watching, I did talk to her a little bit through text offline. Faith has had a checkered, not I'm gonna say checkered past, but she has had a very interesting interaction with Sister George over the last couple of years. Faith has been a consistent opponent of Kevin Samuel and his talking points. Sister George has been a supporter of Kevin Samuels, just as the Manosphere is. She does Manosphere content. She interacts with people that done content with her who are also Kevin Samuels supporters, like Jessica X and others that come on her panel saying all kinds of goofy red pill bullshit. And I get it. I get it. Now, what I can say is this. I did not agree with people celebrating Kevin Samuels' death. I do understand why they did it. I'm not going to tell them not to do it. I'm just going to say I didn't agree with doing it. I agree with let the dead rest in peace. And I would not celebrate anybody's death, particularly somebody I don't know and never met in real life. But hey, this is YouTube. This is what people do. This is what people say. It's a free-for-all. People say all kinds of stupid shit, and they do all kinds of stupid shit. And this is just another addition to that. Now, what I want to do here, I want you all to understand that Faith had a show. Faith created a show that was referencing things about Sister George versus the Sistahood and Kevin Samuel. So I want to give a reference to why I am creating this video up until the point where I'm going to talk about my credentials, by the way, that are bar none. I put my credentials against anybody in this country. I'm in the top 1% of the 1% for any master's level therapist in this country. And I say that with confidence. And there's no way in hell people going to sit up here and say somebody with 2 years experience, more credentialed and more qualified than somebody like myself who's been in this field almost 20 years. Licensed for 16 and been owning a businesses at the boss level for the last 14 years. No, it don't work like that. But let me get to first things first. Let's get to this. So we're gonna go in and talk with Faith, as she's gonna talk about some things in regards to Sister George versus the Sistahood.
Before by a man, okay? So as long as you're a woman and you call yourself in a relationship with a man, they gonna embarrass you. That's the reason why it don't pay to brag on these Negroes, because they will definitely embarrass you. Embarrass. I'm talking about to the fullest. Tomboy Chronicles, at least you honest. Tomboy Chronicles put her hand up. Hell yeah. Think about our. So best believe, if you ever been in any relationship, your man will eventually embarrass you. Putting out all this marriage advice. How long they been married? If they just got married, ink ain't even dried on the marriage certificate. They can't tell you how to sustain a marriage because they're not time tested.
Now, Faith is referencing Sister George marriage and the man that she's with, the controversy between her husband being all in bomb cherry DMs. I'm not getting in all of that because that's kind of the genesis of things. But the issues that have went on in regards to things that Faith has said in regards to that issues with Sister George, that goes back to the fact that Faith was invited to the Femininity Breakdown show on a Sunday, talking about a variety of topics. And Mr. Fantastic brought his gorilla-looking ass up and act a goddamn fool and disrupted the whole goddamn show. And Faith felt like she was being set up. And I agree. I don't think that I don't think that Sister George intended on Mr. Fantastic to act a goddamn fool. She's gonna let him go up there, but let him question her or whatever, but not act in the manner that he did. And then after that occurred, other fools went onto the panel acting just as ignorant as him. She was unfairly treated. And so they had issues since. Now, can they be cordial, civil? Yes. But the fact of the matter, that happened. And it's happened to other people too. Let me continue.
Yeah. And if the quality of their marriage is bad, they can't give you advice on how to keep a man because the quality of their marriage sucks. You're going to end up with a marriage that resembles hers if you listen to her advice. So if you're listening to advice from a woman who man cheats on her, then that's what your relationship is going to resemble because she can only
up here. I want to say peace to the chat, peace to y'all. Yeah, I definitely think that Sister George should have the floor.
So at this point, I'm going to talk about where they were interacting directly with one another. This is the exchange.
But you know what? I can talk after you guys talk because mine is not as important. I was just going to talk about my experience being in a long-term relationship. I actually, as you can tell, have a little difference of opinion than you, Faith, but you did bring up a very important fact just because somebody has, and I mentioned this on Sister George's show, I am a living witness, honey. I have many testimonies of horrible marriages in my own family. My aunt damn near got beat to death, staying married to somebody that she wasn't happy to. So the length of time you're married doesn't really, there's some people that spend half their marriage separated because they can't get along. So the length of time to me doesn't mean anything. And then I know people that have been married for not even that long, but they've taken premarital counseling. They've done some work there. And this is the thing about marriage. And I'm going to be short and I'm going to let you talk to the lady. And then I'd like to come back up if that's okay. But
no, I'll just put you down in the back. And then
okay.
After Sister George, I'll bring you back up. What went down and the evidence on both sides. So I want to be fair to both sides about this whole thing. But what it looked like to me, it looked like Bomb Cherry got you. But can you explain to me how is it that you had access to a dummy account's inbox?
Well, we didn't have access to a dummy's account's inbox. What we had access to was Curlin's real messages. and Curlin's real messaging. So when she said that, and she and I talked this morning, I'm so confused about what she saw. But what I'll tell you is, when a couple, like last week or last weekend, whatever, because this has been ongoing for a few days. Curlin found out that somebody tried to clone his account or use his name and say that that was him, and it wasn't him. Curlin took a screenshot of that account and posted it on his Instagram, posted it on his Facebook, posted it on his Twitter, and told everybody to go and report that account. He said, everybody go and report this account. And this was well before Bomb said that, he had inboxed her.
Let me stop here. Now, I want to say this as it relates to this whole situation. Look, to me, I'm going to say this. The problem is this, man. You're a married man. Sister George is a married woman. You're both on social media. You both are open to this type of scrutiny and these types of liabilities. And from my position, if you're going to be married, then you should be understanding if your wife has a social media presence, a strong social media presence in the manosphere sector, and Kerwin goes around these parts in chats. So these things may happen. You open up the liability for these things to happen. It's obvious they were not prepared for someone to do these things. Your wife is scrutinized by a lot of people that don't like what she says, both men and women. I don't know what's real or not real. My thing is that it seems like Kerwin explained what happened. He put it out according to what she stated. They move forward. So that was the initial reason why this video was discussed, because it was about the alleged interaction of Kerwin towards Bomb. Look, I'm a married man. I get on here and I flirt and do little shit, do stuff. I'm not trying to say he's above doing that, because many men do it. I'm not saying Bomb lying, but the fact of the matter is you're married, and when you're on here, that comes along with it. There are probably men that have probably tried to hit Sister George up in her DMs and so forth. How Kerwin deals with that? I'm just saying, if you're going to be a married couple because you're not single anymore, then you may need to restructure how you're going to function on social media. That's my perspective. Now, I want to move forward because I want to get to the real aspect of it, which led to a lot of controversy. Now, I want to get to the part where Sister George and Faith are talking, and Black Womansphere comes on to the scene.
Posted a message that he received from the dummy account and was like, hey, somebody's inboxing me from this account saying that this is you. It wasn't, but like I explained to her this morning, Nobody can come tell me shit about him. If Curlin and I broke up today, if he was like, you know what, I'm done, I'm tired, I can't deal with you and this YouTube shit, I'm out. If Curlin decided to break up with me today, it wouldn't be a goddamn thing bad that I would say about that man.
And you know what, guys? I believe her. I really believe that she is happy with what she is, who she's with. He's happy with her. And people just need to let that go. Now, do I agree with some of the stuff that Sister George has said as far as, the women feeling some kind of way because she's now married and she's changed her tune towards certain women when she gets into it with them, bringing up that she is married? I don't necessarily agree with that, but the facts are the facts and so on. But at the same time, you're still a you're no longer a single person who is a content creator. Now you're a married woman who is a content creator. Curran now has a wife who is a content creator. No longer someone I'm dating that's a content creator. That's a total different thing. So if you don't want to talk about your marriage or don't want anybody to say anything about your marriage, then it would be, I would think, appropriate not to bring it up, nor to reference the lack of other women's inability to be married. Because if you want to make Black women upset, like they are now towards her, particularly if your status just changed, bringing up that you got a man or married and life is wonderful and all this stuff, wow, whoa, look at me, that can trigger a lot of women. Even those that may like you may have some issues with that. And I think that's the case in this situation. Now, let me continue.
Not a goddamn thing. Nobody can come tell me anything about somebody that I'm laying up with, somebody that I've built a bond with.
Nobody should ever be able to tell you anything about your man.
And the whole thing to me, though, Faith, the whole thing to me was, people was like, oh my God, Curlin was in her inbox. Oh my God.
Right,
people.
That's what it looks like, but it looks bad when you take the bait.
Yeah, well, I'll say this.
Because now you can't nobody tell you about your man, but you up there arguing with him.
Let me say this, Faith. Let me say this, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm not a perfect creature myself. Faith, I will cuss a bitch out. Faith.
I know you cursed me out a couple of times, remember?
Faith.
Let me stop here. See, this is the problem I have with some people on YouTube. Now, this is a 40-year-old plus woman talking about, I curse a motherfucker out. Now, that don't sound good. Yes, she pointed that out as an imperfection. That don't sound great that a person at this age doesn't have restraint. And there's tons of people in here that don't have restraint. What's up, Mahogany Roots? What's going on, cutie? How you doing? Good to see you here. But we got to quit saying shit like this because they're 20-year-olds who sound just like this. I curse your ass out. I don't put up with shit. And now you get 40, you saying the same stuff? And I have noticed that when Sister George does get into arguments with people or conflicts, she acts a fool. Yes, she does. And that may be the Sister George she don't want nobody to know about. And I've acted a fool on YouTube. I get it. But I'm not proud of it. But I want to focus on this part because it focuses on the issue of her talking about Black boys being abused by women and nobody give a damn. Now let's continue.
It's not that baby Curlin could have Kirtland could have hop skipped certain talking points that and don't get me wrong, some of the shit I agree with. Some things I do agree with. But people will take certain talking points and they'll run with that and they'll say, well, they over there and they mammying and muling and they mammying and muling and they taking up for these black men. And don't get me wrong, sometimes
The fact is, you do that, Sister George. That's the truth. And some of the stuff you say, you telling the truth in this, but some stuff, when it gets to a point where things defy logic, and you sound exactly like some of these guys in the manosphere that don't make no goddamn sense, and you have said things against and debunked some of the things that have stated, but at some point, I'm like, come on, man, let's just use common sense.
I feel like I have been in that position. I'm not going to sit here in front of nobody. I don't have to.
Yeah, because
I have.
You up here protecting Kevin Samuels.
It's not protecting Kevin Samuels.
Yes, it is protecting Kevin Samuels.
No, this is what I'll say.
See, this is an example of that. This lady, she has went in support of Kevin Samuel many times. Faith brings up, you're protecting Kevin Samuel. No, I'm not protecting. Yes, you are. I mean, if you're going to agree, and when someone says something against Kevin Samuel, and then you're coming up with a rebuttal, that is protecting. And this comes from a man who trying to tell black women how to find good black men, and he ain't even dating black women. The whole time, Kevin Samuel scammed black women. We all know what he was liking, and it wasn't chocolate, it wasn't black, it was Latin. And Kevin Samuel has even spoken about being with non-black women in the past. So this is nothing new. So to all the black women that sat there listening to him, we're finding out he was never checking for you. He never was checking for you. But when you went to his funeral, you couldn't find one non-black woman that actually attended his goddamn funeral. It was mostly black women.
Telling black women that they don't have a right to celebrate, they don't have a right to say.
You know what? Because I've seen things that's happened in our community with people who have done far worse, where they've had respect when they died. And I'm a spiritual person. I'm a very spiritual person. I don't talk about it a lot, but to actually celebrate a man's death that has not impacted you personally is a goddamn shame. And that's something that I can't roll with.
How do you know that Kevin?
Now, she told the truth on that. For many people, love or hate Kevin Samuel, 99.9% of you have never met this man, don't know this man. And I understand his life may have, no, let me take that back. His life was not indicative of his YouTube persona. This man was 53 years old and only had 2 years out of 53 years of success. He attempted to exude success through his dress and through his presentation that was not necessarily equivalent to his real life. He was fraudulent. And many of you knew it. He lied about being a chemical engineer. He lied about his college education. He lied about what he earned working corporate sales. He lied on and I saw his LinkedIn. His LinkedIn was bullshit. And you all still took the bait. And Sister George actually knows, I know she did her research on Kevin Samuel. She knows Kevin Samuel's checkered past and lack thereof. Now, I'm not taking away his YouTube, quote unquote, short-term YouTube success. But Kevin Samuel was a loser. And most of the time he was in the manosphere. They thought he was a loser. Up until the summer of 2020, where that changed. I never said Kevin Samuel did not speak highly of Latino women. What I stated was that Kevin Samuel was on the low dating Latino women, claiming that he was looking for black women and trying to tell black women what they should be doing, and he wasn't checking for black women. I never said he didn't say anything negative about Latino women. I never stated that at all. Now, Marquis, I know you love some Hispanic, some dirty feet Hispanic women. I understand that. You know, I get it. Everybody got their own taste. But let me continue.
And did not impact a lot of women.
Can I say something, Faith, right quick? I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Faith.
Go ahead, Woman Sphere. I'm sorry.
Hey, Sister George. Hey, Sister George.
Hey, how you doing, Woman Sphere?
Salute. And tell Concrete Rose congratulations too on her nuptials and her marriage.
We saw your we sure appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You see that exchange? That was a fake ass exchange between Woman Sphere and they know they can't stand each other. That shit was so laughable when I first saw that in real time. Matter of fact, Faith, I know you watching. And I know you was y'all were being nice to each other. But I know all those exchanges between Sista George, Faith, Woman Sphere, that shit was phony and fake. I know Faith has not forgotten about the shit of the past and even stated in a nice, nasty manner, you cursed me out multiple times. Because trust me, Faith ain't forget that shit. And if something went left, they'll be right back cursing each other out all over again. That's just the facts. But let me continue.
So much.
Yeah, much love. But I wanna say something about the women like you, Faith, Sister George. There's a common misconception. The misconception is that because you guys are willing to talk and communicate with men and to be co-ed, is that you're mammies and you're mules. And that terminology from the community that I come from has been thrown around a lot, which is why I created a new term called battle axe, because I've seen Faith go in on men for disrespecting black women. I've seen you do it, Sister George, and so have I seen Concrete Rose, so have I seen Mahogany. Here's the issue. It's people that are females and then there's women. And that is the distinction, and that's where we need to learn to separate who we sleep with and what our status is like in our relationships about how we think about each other as women. And I think that you are gaining the negative prospects and ideology from other black women that you get is because you're not sympathetic, Sister George. You're not. I'm just going ahead. Let me, I like you.
That's a lie too. Now, to me, Woman Sphere could have just straight up said, look, let's just get to it. Yeah, you cool and everything. You do this and you do that. But when it comes to black women, your ass is not sympathetic. You very hard to the bone in regards to it. You're very apathetic about black women. You don't give a damn. And if somebody says something about black women, you're going to come back and say, what about black men or young black boys? Let's just quit beating around the goddamn bush. That's really what Woman Sphere was thinking. And she, tried to, I guess, be nice or whatever. She tried to be cordial. And then it just came out because that's what she really thinks.
Because I think I get you. I know black women. I understand black women. I take black women to the lab. I'm a womanist, so I love black women. So I get you and I understand you. But at the same time, you're so unsympathetic. You just really are. And you almost operate from a patriarchal perspective that throws women off. And it makes women look at you like, are you an enemy or are you my friend? And it's like they don't know how to take you, Sister George. That's just really what it is. You know, I do because that's how much I study Black women. You know, I'm heavily invested. I'm Black women empowerment for real. So I get you and I see where you coming from. And I don't think that's it. But sometimes you get a little like cocky with your approach. You get real cocky with that marriage of yours. It's
Stop. You see, this is what she really meant. See, Women's Fear did that phony ass shit. She tried to come off. I really think Woman's Fear did not want to come up there to argue, but she wanted Sister George to know this is what the women in the sector think of you. She tried to come off. I mean, my thing is she should have just said the shit straight up, like fuck being trying to sugarcoat things, just straight out and just be blunt with the shit. She did it in any other time. Now I don't know the reason. I really think in this situation, she did not come up there to yell and argue. Now, it eventually got there. I think she was looking for Sister George to say something back so that she could go off. And that's exactly what happened. The intent was to confront Sister George about her inadequacies as it relates to Black women, her ideology, the things that she say, and what she deems as her as apathetic behavior when it comes to the issues of Black women. Let me continue.
It's like, you know, I feed my husband. What you doing? Okay, a man is gonna eat whether you feed him or not, Sister George. I don't know whether you know that or not, but Curlin was gonna eat whether you fed him or not.
Now, see, this is where it get personal. She bringing up the woman husband. Now, now we all can assume Sister George like, I'm gonna let this bitch have it. I'm gonna let her have it. Look, I feel what Woman's Fear is saying. I ain't saying she ain't lying. It's not that she ain't lying. It's just at the beginning, we tried to make it seem like this was going to be a cordial exchange, knowing damn well it was going to develop into something out of control.
Nah. Okay. So it's like it's something about you that lacks empathy, that lacks sympathy. And that is what women are responding to. I just think that they are trying, and they're trying to be delicate because I see that's what Faith is doing right now. She's trying to be delicate with you in this conversation. But what she's offended by is your lack of sympathy. You don't have sympathy, Sister George. You don't, sis. I'm sorry.
Let's talk about it. Let's have a real conversation about it. So
now let me stop here. Notice Sister George responded in such a monotone and delicate voice. That shit was phony. She really wanted to curse Woman's Fear ass out. It just took certain things to get to that point. Okay? So people want to wonder, how did this shit get out of control all of a sudden? It's because people came up there with ulterior motives to try to pretend not to be nice, nasty, and it ended up going that way, and then it just went into an all-out war, verbal war.
I told you I was raised by a Scorpio woman, right? Scorpio mom, a Libra grandma. The women that I was raised around was some motherfucking savages.
Oh Lord.
And I'm not talking about, oh, they can get on and talk shit to people. Oh, they just gonna sit here and talk shit. No, I was raised by a master manipulator. I am manipulative as a motherfucker myself.
Now she's talking about her manipulation, her upbringing that was negative, and things that happened. You're getting this story about who she really is. I'm like, okay, I get it, Sister George. But at this point, you know, we're around the same age. I'm 44 years old. I think you may be in your early 40s or late 30s. We still have to be accountable regardless of how we grew up. Where is the growth? Growth has to occur. And that's to everybody on the panel or on any panel. I'm not going to sit here and linger on, even though I had a great childhood with both parents. And I love my mother's deceased. My father is 80, soon to be 85 next month, if God says the same. But at some point, my behavior is about me, not about the way other people treated me. The accountability goes to yourself at some point. Yes, those things can affect you at some point because it was a part of your development, but it cannot be used as a crutch to give an excuse to why I'm going to behave and say certain things. That's for anybody that's an adult. You hear a 65-year-old, 50-year-old person talking about, well, when I grew up, this is what happened to me. Where's the correction? And I'm going to get into that, but I'm going to let this continue so we can give basis to the reason why I'm doing this content in the first place.
Please don't get it fucked up. I've surrounded myself, and at one point I surrounded myself with women of the night, with hustlers, with bitches who really knew how to get it. So I don't look at women as these victims. And
women of the night, hustlers, streetwalkers, sex workers. I mean, why would you want to be around that ilk of women? It's just like me, country boy from Louisiana. I'm with drug dealers, thugs, killers, robbers. No, I didn't fuck with people like that. They were no good for you. So because you made a choice to be around those type of people, therefore it affects the way you look at the collective of Black women. That's a me problem, not a we problem.
I've had friends, I've done it. I've mushed niggas upside the head. I done slapped niggas in the face before. I done talked all kinds of shit.
Wait a minute, you did all of that? And weren't you not talking about people like Carly B, drugging motherfuckers and hitting and doing all this stuff to Black men? Wait a minute. I'm just, guys, correct me. Correct me if I'm wrong. When I'm a woman talking about doing violent shit to Black, I'm running, I'm not saying she's that way now. Of course she's not. But damn, I'm like, you had quite an experience. But you explaining this doesn't necessarily paint you in a better light that you had that experience. It actually paints you in a worse light. That maybe what we seeing on YouTube is just a fake, phony Sista George, and the real Sista George are knocking nigga upside the head with a gun. Because if I was just someone that didn't know you listening to this, that's what I would think.
I don't see women as these delicate creatures that everybody likes to portray, that every woman is not. The majority of us, Black women, whatever, because I think white women are worse. But I don't look at women and think that they're these innocent, delicate creatures. When you talk about men being abused and men going through shit or whatever, everybody likes to turn a blind eye to that. Nobody really wants to focus on that because we're quick to point out where men have fucked up at, but we don't really understand the pathology. We don't go and follow the pathology of what really happened or what's really going on. So then
Let me make a correction there. See, when it talks about the pathology, since everybody like to throw these words around, pathology is characterized by events over time that cause sickness, disorder in someone's life, psychologically, socially. It evolves the fact that someone developed over time due to their psychosocial development, their environment, upbringing, victimization, things like that in some way have influenced a person to cause harm to others or to themselves, or to be a disruption within society. in that people are diagnosed with certain types of mental health disorders that contribute to them committing crimes and breaking rules and regulations of the society that they're in. When we talk about pathology. So when we talk about the pathology of black men, it's no different than the pathology of black women. We're black people. We are perceived, looked upon the same way by the majority culture as far as how we are perceived by the law, the inability to obtain certain things are being more difficult. Nobody is discriminating you because of the basis of gender, the basis of race. So yes, there is a pathology that develops over time that contributes to the delinquency of African American men, and that path for women is also similar. It does have differences, but for the most part, it's the same. I just wanted to talk about that. But in this particular situation, as it develops, the women were speaking on just girls and women in particular. Sister George took it upon herself to bring up boys. Now let me continue. Thank you.
You being in the manosphere, you do have a group of men that have had things that have happened to them by the hands of women. I am a woman that has been abused and have gone through shit by the hands of women as well. I've had shit from both sides, and what makes me what I feel makes me special in being in this space is that I've been able to see it from both sides. I've been able to see it from both sides because I have not always been a victim. I have also been a villain. When you have really done your 360 in womanhood, you should not always see yourself as a victim. You should not always see yourself as a victim. You should also be a villain. That's my perspective. So when I see women and we get here and women are talking about a lot of, well, they did this to me and he did this to me and he did this to me and he did this to me and niggas ain't shit and fuck these niggas and niggas ain't shit and fuck niggas ain't shit. And I'm sitting there and I'm saying to myself, okay, well, we've had to make choices. We've had to make choices. And I'm not going to say that nothing bad has happened to you by the hands of a man, because I've also been in that situation too, where I was innocent and shit did happen to me. I've been there too. So I can see it from all sides. But I will also sit here and tell you that I've seen manipulation from the bottom to the top. And when I notice a lot of bullshit, and it's bullshit that we're not willing to come to terms with, we're very manipulative. We're very powerful. We know.
You see, this is the issue that I have with what she's saying. Even though what she's saying is partially true, the issue with it is that when we speak of black women in this sector, this is the problem with red pill ideology. Notice when she speaks of black women, and she is a black woman, but in her synopsis, it never talked about anything positive about black women. Let me repeat. She never mentioned one goddamn thing good about a black woman. There's no way in hell, even I don't care how bad your experience was with black women that you grew up with, you mean to tell me you can't identify a few positive characteristics? That is illogical, and it's just not true. Same thing for men, for the women who talk about men. You sit up there and talk about negative things about men as if men have no positive qualities. The divestment community, the manosphere, pink pill, all those different, they all have illogical behavior, poor perceptual discernment. You look at things from a very, very gender slanted mindset. When she thinks of females, she thinks manipulation, She thinks liars, violence. She's thinking of all negative things as it relates to female nature. Unfortunately, that is not indicative of everybody else's experience. And then internalizing your own experience, and then you're around other goofballs in the manosphere that claim the same. They're not looking at things from a reality standpoint. They're looking at things just from their own internalized trauma. It's trauma. I hear the trauma in her voice. And there's a lot of people in our community that have these issues. But when you come online and then you start speaking about the genders, this is why I don't get on panels anymore. I don't argue with people like this because they will refuse to listen to objectivity. Now, woman's fear, in my position, does some of the same shit at times towards men. And others. I'm at a point now, I don't say anything because I don't have time to be dealing with resistance from truth. When you hear a person who speaks about people 100% in a negative manner, women are not these delicate. No one said that they were these delicate creatures, but some are and some are not. Or they may be somewhere in between. Or there's some women that may be delicate at times and then they may be triggered to be likewise. There is no flexibility in the thinking, not whatsoever. The thought process of what she's saying is highly inflexible and one-sided, and it's not grounded in real truth because most black women are not like that. She could have said black women are nurturing or helpful or cooperative, good listeners, good friends, loyal. None of those things came up. Taskers. Yeah, women do that. Organizers. Some women are good at communication. There's tons of things that could have came up, but those things did not come up. Because when you look at women, just like red pill ideology, when you look at women from a negative perspective, your language and your response with them will also follow as the same.
What to do? We know how to use our shit. I've seen behaviors from all of us, even us up on here on this panel. I've seen it.
Yes, you've seen it, but also I've seen behaviors from Faith that are not indicative of that. So just because you show a certain behavior doesn't make up the total. It's not the total makeup of you as a person. It means that you just function and responded to certain things in a certain context, in a certain environment.
And I can't have the view. The whole problem is we want a certain type of man. We want a certain type of man. We want a strong, powerful man. We want a nigga that's able to kill a motherfucker. We want a motherfucker to be able to cook. We want a motherfucker that's going to be able to fuck. We want him to be fine. We want everything. We do. But it's like I find it hard to be sympathetic because I know what type of power we yield. I know what type of power we hold. I also call men out.
Which is true. She has called men out. That is true.
Crazy thing is, it's like if you go to some of these men gonna tell you, fuck Sister George, that bitch ride for the women. She ain't nothing but the sisterhood. She be over here talking shit about us. She don't fuck with us. She for the sisterhood. Then if you go to the women, because I feel like I actually have a very balanced perspective. I don't let them get away with shit either, because just like we're manipulative, they're manipulative. They come with bullshit. They be on some hoe ass shit. They don't know how to treat each other. A lot of these niggas ain't shit, but a lot of these bitches ain't shit either. And I can see it from both sides. So then
the problem with that, she made a point to say a lot of niggas ain't shit, then a lot of these women ain't shit. Okay, I get that, because that's bad in everybody, any group, any demographic. But what she would never do is say something that is necessarily disparaging or holding black men accountable, and hold that alone without bringing up something about women. Or if it's something about just strictly focusing on the empowerment of women, she will bring up the fact that men should be brought up also, which is indicative of the exchange that soon followed. Let me continue.
when I see, I'm not toxic, but I've also had conversations where women have accused men of doing stuff. I've seen situations where children have accused men of doing stuff that wasn't true.
Now let me stop there. I want to, because this is where we're getting. Now I want to talk about this. Let me tell y'all something. Since people want to question my credentials, okay? Now, I have worked with children for over 23 years. I have worked with children that have behavioral disorders, emotional mood disorders, who have been inflicted by the fact that they were abused. For the last 16 years, I have heavily worked with children on an ongoing basis that were physically, sexually, emotionally abused. Okay? And nobody, and let me say this, I want to say this, when it comes to little children, the overwhelming majority of little children are not going to lie about being abused. Let me repeat that. Particularly sexual, they are going to tell. Whether they're inadvertently going to tell, it may not be verbally. It could be through play. It could be through other means of things that is going on with them. If they can't verbalize it. To sit here and to create a narrative as if there's a bunch of children that's sitting here lying just to get adults in trouble, that's a goddamn lie. They're not. But then you want to talk about the fact that how these children were threatened not to tell by the abuser. There's all kinds of dynamics that goes into that. And when you try to simplify to the fact that, well, there's children that just lie, and you know, Kevin Samuels say you should believe the dad before you believe the child. Let me tell you something. In most situations, a lot of situations, that is the truth. But that don't take away the fact that the child still got abused. There's a lot of women who have believed in those children, but believe the adult boyfriend or father over the child. And you know what happened to those children? They continuously got abused until it was found to be true. And that the fact that the father was lying, or the brother, or whoever else that's the adult was lying. That's what happened. You know what else happens? That child grows up having animosity towards the mother or the perpetrator. I have had over at least 200 or more CPS cases that I have currently treated, the kids and the parents. Out of those 200 or 300, I may have had 8 to 10 where the child lied. Okay? And I'm not saying my practice and experience could be indicative of any other therapist. But what I am stating is that most children don't lie about abuse. Most children do not go about pre-planning that they want to get somebody in trouble. Now, teenagers, that may be something different when it comes to kids who may be 12, 13 on up. Because most of the situations that I've had, I mean, I'm gonna say all the situations, it involves teenage girls and some boys. And to me, this is one of the reasons I chose to create this video, to give reference to the fallacies that occur, that have grown in our community as it involves children and their perspectives and their interaction towards adults and abuse. Children are to be believed unless the investigation says otherwise. Will there be an occurrence of lying? Yes, that happens in any situation. But the worst thing you could do is when a child tells you in desperation that they're being abused, and you sit there and say that they're lying. You know what a lot of those children do overall, and they're continuously being abused? They run away. You know what ends up happening when they run away? They get into sex trafficking, drugs, and other forms of vice and crime. That's what and let me repeat, my clinical experience, that is bar none to anybody in this space, man, I put my experience, my clinical skills against anybody in this country. Matter of fact, I have trained a large amount of therapists in the state of Texas. So who is anybody to critique me on me defining the qualifications of a therapist? Nobody. I'm going to say this. Ain't nobody in this space could critique me or tell me shit about mental health and anything that involves mental health. Nobody can tell me shit in regards to abuse, mental health, psychology, counseling, the field, theoretics. I saw through Miss Kim's, I guess, whatever you want to call that, descriptive of what she has done professionally very quickly. You know why? Because people have paid me to do this. When Miss Kim owns her own mental health clinics throughout the state of Texas, then you have the right to tell D. Durrell something. When Miss Kim has a distinction as a supervisor, as I once was, then you can come and holler at D. Durrell about whatever. When Miss Kim has businesses that she's operated for over 15 years that have made and grossed upwards to $1 million in some of those years, then you can come tell your boy something. Miss Kim was a paraprofessional lying about assessments and group therapy because Miss Kim was working underneath somebody else who was licensed. And I'm going to give proof and rise to the fact that she didn't even mention that she was an LPC, nor was she an APC, an associate professional counselor in the state of Georgia. Listen, I can't even blame Sista George for this because Sista George is not privy to mental health. So someone sells you a bag of shit, you know, some people will buy it. This was not for me to disparage Sista George in her ability to waste her money consulting on somebody that wasn't qualified to give an analysis of a situation. It was more about the person who, whether she told the truth or not, she said certain terminology that shouldn't have not been used in her description of what she was as a professional. But I don't want to get off track. I want to get back to this, but let me continue.
I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to tell you to dismiss your child, to disregard your child. If your child ever comes to you and tells you some shit like that, that's deep. That's crazy. That's fucked up. You should absolutely pay attention to your child. But you should also understand who your children are. If you think that children are not liars or manipulative, or children won't sit there and lie or do something fucked up, then you have another thing coming. You have another thing coming.
Can I please say something, Faith?
See, again, the ladies got frustrated with her saying this. She spoke in a manner, and I don't think she even realized this. She spoke in a manner and if she thought that most kids act like this. And maybe I'm interpreting it wrong. But when she speaks in this manner, it gives a perspective as if there's a lot of children in our community that are doing this, and they're not. Do children tell lies? Yes. But are children, for the most part, serial liars? No. They're not. These kids are not doing antisocial conduct disorder like behaviors. They're not. And when you hear her speak in this manner, you get that perspective.
Please. See, this is where,
because Sister George, you're talking about the minority of children. You're not talking about the majority of children tell the truth. You're talking
what
about
I'm saying is, but what I'm saying to you is, if your child comes to you and tells you something like that, you should fully investigate. You should fully investigate. I will sit here and tell you that if my child, let me finish. Let me finish.
But you've been talking for a long time.
Well, I'm gonna continue to talk.
I ain't gonna lie, she was talking for a long goddamn time.
I'm going to continue to talk because we're having a discussion.
Listen,
so let me clarify my thought process. Let me clarify my thought process. That's all I want to do.
I know you triggered because of the stuff with your husband.
I'm not triggered at all. I think you're triggered more so. Well, you sound triggered.
No, I'm not. I'm just talking.
Now there are real interactions coming out, how they really wanted to communicate with each other.
Because that ain't
we're
what
both
you
just talking
said.
and if
but you're
okay. I got to mute both of y'all mics and y'all talking over me now. Look, I unmuted you, but you got to go one at a time. Sister George, please finish up in a minute, and then it's going to move over to Woman's Fair so she can get her say out.
I understand that you're saying that that's the majority of children, and I am telling you to do a full-fledged investigation. You're saying that majority of children tell the truth, but a lot of times most people won't acknowledge the children that do lie. And if I have a friend that's a principal at a school. He's a principal at a grade school.
Now, I want y'all to listen closely to what she is about to say, because this to me is where everything went and where everybody started talking about Faith's videos. This is where things went left.
And the shit that comes out of that grade school, the things that are happening in that grade school. You're talking about homosexuality, bisexuality. They're sucking dick on the bus at 10. The girls are dressing sexy at 10 and trying to be seductive. Yeah, but this is the thing that we don't.
You're despicable.
You're despicable.
Let me stop there. Now, I want to play this again because, see, notice when Sister George spoken in regards to the children now. The children are talking about bisexuality. We're talking about LGBT, other LGBT behavior. And she's saying that the girls are giving oral sex at 10 years old and they dressing sexy. And she did not give any context to why the children are doing that. She just stating like these children are doing this because this is who they are and this is what they want to do. Black Women's Fair responded in the manner that she did in frustration over this type of rhetoric that was spoken. And I'm going to go back.
majority of children tell the truth, but a lot of times most people won't acknowledge the children that do lie. And if I have a friend that's a principal at a school. He's a principal at a grade school. And the shit that comes out of that grade school, the things that are happening in that grade school, you're talking about homosexuality, bisexuality. They're sucking dick on the bus at 10.
I'm sorry. Every time I hear that, I cringe because that's not true. There may be instances of that happening with some of the little girls. That may happen. But my thing is, that to me actually shows an inability of supervision among the bus drivers and whoever else is supervising these children. How the hell a child would sneak and have the ability and the time or to even have the idea of thinking they can get away with having oral sex on a bus? There are high schools where this is not even happening. There's middle schools that this is not even being tried. I have contracts with alternative schools and kids who have negative behavior. And I am not hearing about little 10-year-olds having oral sex on the bus. I'm not saying it doesn't happen because it does happen sometimes. But again, the manner in which it's spoken as if this is happening consistently. It's happening all the time without the accountability of the fact that this child is probably mimicking something she saw or she is being sexually abused. But again, that context is not being exposed in the interaction. It's almost if these little girls, she's saying in a manner in which these girls are naturally wanting to engage in these behaviors.
The girls are dressing sexy at 10 and trying to be seductive.
If little girls are dressing sexy at 10 years old, where the hell are the parents to correct them? See, you have to give further context. You cannot look at this from a very elementary standpoint. There's more layers to this, Sister George. When you speak in this manner and you don't speak of things in full context, you give the impression that you're speaking about everybody as a whole without departmentalizing the differences.
Yeah, but this is the thing that we don't.
You're despicable.
You're despicable. Let's not talk about you, sis. Let's not do that.
Can I
See, now we're about to get personal. Now she got personal there, and she's like, let's not talk about you, sis. Now you talked about yourself and the things that you went through. Now, yes, it is well documented, and I was one that has spoken of, and I admit I have been one that I was a person that would speak ill of Black womansphere. Okay? I'm no longer doing that because she apologized to me. We don't have no problems with each other. I'm good. And Black womansphere knows that when she gets into these spats with people, they're going to bring this shit up. And she understands that. But that ain't going to stop her from doing what she's doing. But listen to this, guys.
And the whole thing is we want to sugarcoat. We want to sugarcoat and think and think that everybody is innocent. We're talking about children. So then if my co-host, wait a minute. So then
you're a black male apologist.
Go. No, I'm not a black male apologist.
You sound despicable.
No, ma'am. But
I would never do children like what you just did, girl.
So let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. We can't talk at the same time. Let me ask you a question.
No, we really
let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
If they sucking dick, it means they were abused, you fucking idiot.
You bitch. You are not going to talk to me like that, bitch. Watch who the fuck you're talking to, ho.
It means they were.
Okay, y'all gonna mess up my monetization? Y'all fucking with my monetization.
You better watch who the fuck you talking.
Wait, hold on. Next person.
Yo, you better get her stupid ass. I'm not her. I'm not her. But what I keep trying to explain. So then if your child goes to school and she victimizes a little boy and she's the one who's initiating the act and she's trying to take your little child off into a back room, we're acting like women don't do fucked up things, and that's just not true. It's not true. It happens. If you go and do an investigation, if you go and do your research, if you go, they do fucked up shit. I swear to God. I swear to God, children are not always these innocent little creatures. And if you're saying, so women's sphere, let me say,
Sister George, we got you.
Faith, let me just say this real quick. Faith, let me say this real quick. So victims beget victims, right?
That was rough.
Victims beget victims, right?
I thought I liked you, but I don't like you.
You don't, bitch. I guarantee I'm not looking for your fucking validation at all, bitch. You would be the last bitch I would look for validation from. I promise you.
I see what Bob's saying about you now. That was rough.
You should be seeking the validation from.
I gotta move. Okay, go ahead.
I'm just saying this. Sorry, Mahogany. I know you trying to bring peace and resolution, but I know how you is. But girl, that was rough. Like that was rough. Like to talk about a little girl sucking dick and to try and validate that if she's sucking dick, it means she was abused. It means that she was abused. It doesn't mean she's just out here being. That was rough, Sister George. And I didn't dislike you, but now I don't like you. That was very, a symbolism of abuse, and it's how it presents itself in the Black community with a lot of Black women saying, "Oh, she was fast. What about that love? What about her? Like she knew what she was doing." All of that is what you just did, girl. That was rough. Like, I'm gonna go on mute because that was rough for me. That was rough. I'm going on mute.
Okay, I'm gonna let Mahogany go, and then Sister George can come back up and explain what she meant by that.
Yes,
I would.
First of all, Faith, please forgive me. My heart is beating out my chest right now because things were going really well, and then it got.
So let me stop there. You see, you heard the basis of that. You heard where it went. And this has been something that people have been talking about in these YouTube streets per se. I'm going to play a little bit more and then I'm going to move forward because I don't want to dwell on this. And then I'm going to let people come up to talk and discuss this in full scale. Let me continue.
Happening in our community, we want to villainize our men and make it seem like women have nothing to do with anything that's going on outside of loving and caring for the man, and that's simply not true. And I honestly hate talking about this subject because it always comes across like, oh, well, you're trying to make it sound like, or you're trying to hold up for these men, or that's not the case.
But why are you comparing little girls to grown women, though? Why are they even a part of this conversation? You scallywag.
Because woman sphere. Because
you scallywag. You showed your hand right there. I don't give a fuck, man. Y'all can keep talking to this bitch.
You see, bitch, I got your bitch, you hoe. You the one who got fucking 5 kids by 15 different men. You stupid ass bitch. So we can't sit here and have a real conversation because you done got your fucking feelings involved.
Now the real feelings are coming out.
You done got your feelings involved. You done got your fucking feelings involved, so you can't have a real conversation, you dumb bitch. You are the dumbest bitch alive. I knew you was a dumb bitch. I never. That's why I never associated myself with you, because I knew you was a dumbass bitch.
We
so
let
what are
the
you
bitch
talking
get up here
about?
and
Not
compare
protecting
children to
children.
grown
What
adults.
are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Sucking dick. That was your words. That was your words.
So let's talk about it. Let's talk
We're
about
talking
it.
about 22-year-old in a
What is she up here yelling for?
We're not
What is she
talking
up here
about
yelling for?
Ford sucking
So we
dick
can't
and
have
having
so we
sex.
can't have a civilized conversation.
The fuck you raggedy whore?
Bitch, you
Okay. Y'all calm down.
No, I'm gonna stop there. I'm gonna stop there because it did get out of hand there. Now, before I continue, I just want to before I go to the next one, because the next aspect of this is what I really want to go to. Because I'm going to talk about the fact that, and I'm gonna bring out. I'm gonna go ahead and bring this link out. Put the link out there for those that want to come up and chop it up with D Darrell. I know it's been a while since I've went live. It's been a while since I have, I don't do as much content on this channel. Do I should? Okay. You can get the link for those that want to get the link. Now, let me because I want to say this before I move forward. Okay. For those that are watching me right now, the people who follow me, I want to just want you all to know this. When I do videos, it's the reason why I showcase this shit that you see on the wall right now. For those that want to question my credentials on the wall, baby. What you see, this is something that people who watch me, they see that bachelor's degree in psychology from Southern. They see that license, an LPC, something that Miss Kim did not mention in her description of her professionalism, her professional credentials. She did not mention. You see that shit in the middle with that blue card? That allows me to do what I do. That other degree is a master's degree. The shit that she just got in her 2 years experience, I had that level of experience in my mid-20s. I've been owning my own business since I was like 31 years old. I'm now 44, getting ready to be 45 in October. This is real shit. If anybody wants to question anything about me, you can go and look me up. I don't go and put my first name only in a description. I put my full name, or you can put my license number and know who I am and what I do. This little office here is where I see clients individually. I have a corporate office that's 35 minutes from here, 40 minutes from here. And I have operations in Dallas, Texas. I service over 8 counties. And I do things throughout the country virtually. I'm a therapist. I don't work at the entry level. I work at the boss level. And I've been doing it for years. So if anybody wants to question my credentials, do your due diligence. I invite you to do so. Because I can show you myself. Or if I don't show you, you can go and look it up yourself. And I guarantee you, once you finish watching, once you find out the truth, you're going to eat every last fucking word about you trying to critique my qualifications and credentials. My credentials and qualifications speak for themselves. Not just on the business level, not just on the training level, the therapeutic level, but just in the field itself. My company back in 2021 was voted the best mental health clinic in Texas City, Texas, which is a suburb outside of Houston. I'm a preferred provider for multiple government agencies, including the VA and others. My services are wanted throughout the state of Texas, and I've had recent contract from a company out of California that wants me to do things throughout the country and throughout the state of Texas and other areas. So anybody, and you know who you are, to have an issue with my credentials, by all means, please let me know what you want to know and what you think you know, because really you don't know when you have a person who is not licensed, obviously, and others that believe whatever she was saying, who didn't know what she was talking about, who didn't come off professional, and so on. I just want to make that known to those that question D. Durrell, because you don't have to question D. Durrell. All you got to do is look it up. Matter of fact, I invite you to dox me. Go ahead. You can go ahead and find the truth. The only people who are scared to be doxxed are those who lie about themselves. I invite you to find out the truth. What's up, Chaos?
Right, man. But then there's somebody doxy already. No, you know, I like that format when you cam up, man. What is that? The camera, is that the desktop or laptop you use? Because the camera quality is very good. You know what I'm saying? When we see it,
that's the camera I have.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's camera. See, you're stepping up. You're stepping the tech, man. Excellent. You know what I'm saying? You know, anytime you do your presentation, you always gotta show them credentials, man. Show them. Look at that wall right there. You get me?
But people, but I want to. I'm going to go ahead and show this. And again, this is not.
And that's only just partial of it. Cause I only see on the board it's only 3. Like you know those yeah. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
What I want to say is that there are people who parade around having certain credentials that are not conducive to whatever or what they claim they are doing.
You mean the field they study. The field.
I don't like speaking ill of other professionals. I don't. Mm-hmm. But the truth is the truth. Mm-hmm. When you look at the information that was presented about Miss Kim did not have a license.
Mm.
That's the facts.
Okay.
She did not present. Saying that you are a person-centered therapist does not mean that you're a therapist. That just means that you utilize that form of intervention. Mm. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
You're talking to a person who's trained so many therapists in my life, and most of them were Black women.
Mm.
Most of them were Black women. I've only had a handful of Black men that I've trained to be therapists, maybe 3. The other, I've had some Asian. I had a few white women, couple of Asian women, and everybody else was Black women.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's the facts. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Miss Kim. You know, she was, you know, I guess they call it the therapy session
on the show. Her name is Kim. Her link, not her links, her description is in my bio. So if you want to see her credentials, you want to see what she has going on, her link is in, her credentials are in the bio. But I really wanted to be able to have a conversation and to really be
pause for a
break
second.
it down. What I do want to explain too is that this is.
But she said she got. Did she put her link and credentials in the description of this live stream? Show description. And you're muted. Let you know if you're speaking. I'm not sure you're speaking. I'm D. Durrell. You know you mute your mic. Hello. Hold on, guys. Y'all care D. Durrell? I think he muted his mic. Yeah, D. Durrell muted his mic a while ago.
Yeah, I did mute my mic.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure because it's silence.
Okay, give me 1 second because I'm
Okay, go. All right, take your time.
I'm trying to look and see. Now I don't see it in there.
Let me look it up. You can play the video.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and continue.
It's a paid gig for this lady. I wanted to pay this lady for her time because it was definitely on short notice. And I wanted somebody to be able to come give an honest perspective on honest perspective and a good critique on the things that she'll observe in this video. And I wanted somebody to be fair and balanced on all sides.
I want to answer this question right quick. Brother Speak asked me, D. Durrell, who is harder to train, therapists, men or women? I'm going to say it's harder to train men. And the reason why I think it's harder to train men, because the men that I have dealt with to train, they were not as focused. And I'm not saying this for most, because I've had some really good males as employees. But most of the women were a lot more focused and consistent in the process, as far as attending their group meetings and evaluations and so forth. The men were a little bit more inconsistent on a weekly basis than the women were. Sub G said you may go to check the Boss Talk channel. She live streams from 3 channels at the same time. Oh, I didn't know she went on that channel too. So I'll check that out too.
All right. I gone back. Okay.
Huh?
Okay. I gone back to the original video. Yeah, there was no description, surprisingly.
So it's on the Boss Talk channel?
No, I'm on the Boss Talk channel right now. Cause I was just asking, since she said she did reference certain things. Let me fast forward again. I'm looking at therapy session with Miss Kim. When you look, it'll show the title and what is the title? The title on top, and there's no description. It should show less. So there's no description.
She took it out?
No, she could take it out. She said in the beginning of the video. You hear the video?
No, but she had it written. I remember it was sitting in the description.
But why she would take it out? She's presenting a live stream.
Explain. Yeah, because it was in the information where you can check it out, where you could see. It was taken out because at the beginning of the description, it clearly talked about her being a person-centered therapist.
Okay.
I know that for a fact because I read it. That was one of the reasons why I commented on it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's Tough Talk TV. That's what
yeah, that's what I'm on. I'm on Tough Talk TV.
Hold on 1 second. Let me see. Okay. Yeah, I don't see it on there. I think she took it down.
Yeah, that's questionable. Let
me say this. I just want you all to understand before we move forward. If you are going to be a reputable therapist, okay, you're going to give your full name along with you're going to lead with your license. Licensed clinicians do not talk about their credentials or talk about their experience without leading with the fact that they're licensed. That's the most important thing. What she stated was the fact that she had master's degrees in finance and a master's degree in counseling. And then she talked about the work that she was doing, working for a couple of community or mental health organizations. That don't mean you have a license.
Okay.
She did mention she had an internship at some type of community center. An internship doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it doesn't really mean nothing.
An internship is just is just a roadmap towards the license itself. That's it. That's all I was stating. To me, that was necessarily not me shedding light on some inadequacies of Sista George. No, I'm just talking about the person she hired. It has nothing to do with her. Because I get it. This happens all the time where people think they're hiring certain services and people with certain credentials that find out not to be what they thought it was. That happens all the fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, I just wanted to point out the fact that she was not qualified. She was not a therapist, and she shouldn't be saying she is a therapist.
Yeah, you're not supposed to say that unless you're actually a therapist.
You have to be licensed.
Yeah, because you could mislead people.
Yeah, you're deceiving people as if you have a license and you're not. Now, in that state, is it they may have laws where she can work under supervision with other therapists,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't even see it. There's something called an associate professional counselor. That's a distinction that she can have. I didn't even see that.
Well, my thing is,
so her credentials didn't even designate that. So I'm looking at this as a paraprofessional with a master's degree who's parading around like she has a private practice. And who probably doesn't have a private practice because no insurance is going to credential you without a license.
Yeah,
if you're charging people, you're ripping them off if they're doing cash.
Yeah, that's a form of scamming.
You know, and I'm not trying to say that. I'm just pointing out the obvious because I do this for a fucking living.
Well, if I may add, Deidre, my thing is this: I don't mind people doing the content what they're doing, but if you're gonna bring professionals and a person that's supposed to be, I guess, well qualified, a full name would help, especially if you're promoting yourself. I mean, my thing now, because we're now in a digital stage now, Deidre, if you're going to be selling product or doing something and you provide a service, it would be nice for the people that if you do a good job, people want to reach out to you and might want a service. Right. But like you said, Deidre, if we can't look you up, and now I'm thinking for anybody that's going to take on anybody's profession and need certain professional advice, like serious like therapy and stuff, yeah, maybe it would be wise to do a quick background because times are hard right now, and I don't mind someone that's good with it good, but if you're not really certified, I can't really give you my money per se because what you're doing is under the carpet. That's not ethical.
Listen, man, and I'm not trying to do this to make Sister George look bad, and I hope if she's listening, this is not anything on her. It's on the person who's lying. I mean, I don't expect someone to know this to the extent that I do. You know, I don't expect anyone to know exactly, just like in any other field. People who work that field are going to know certain nuances about that others don't.
Yeah.
You know, so when it was brought to my attention that she was saying the lady was more, that's supposed to have been a situation where she said the lady was more qualified, then I'm like, first of all, you don't really even know my qualifications, and the fact that you've known me in this sector, and you should have known something in regards to the fact that I'm a highly qualified professional therapist, which this lady is not. Yeah. And yes, her credentials was taken down. So that lets me know even further that it was fraudulent and it wasn't truthful, or my assessment was truthful. But let me I want to hear more of what she was saying. But I want to go through that.
Okay.
And so the lady has permission to critique wherever she needs to critique, and especially where I may have gotten a lot of the stuff wrong. Definitely wanted to have an honest discussion about it. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in Miss Kim. Hey, Miss Kim, how are you?
I am well. How are you?
I am doing, I'm okay. It's been a very, very tumultuous week, but I wanted to be able to have this conversation with someone who worked in the field, who would have a background on what's going on with our children, and to just really, really have an honest conversation about everything.
Okay.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? And I'm going to play a little music in the background. So let me know if that's too loud for you. Okay.
Oh no, that's perfect.
Okay. Great.
Okay. So I am a therapist, a person-centered therapist.
Stop right there. Let me stop right there. First of all, I've been in this field. Let me say this to everybody. That's the first thing that I found to be fraudulent. I've been in this field for over 20 years, and that's the first time I ever heard somebody that addressed themselves as a person-centered therapist. Let me repeat. I've been in this field, been working in this field since 1999, 23 years, and that's the first time I've heard somebody acknowledge or explain their credentials, and they led with the fact that they're a person-centered therapist. Okay? I just want y'all to know that. And I'm a person that uses person-centered therapy. I've been, matter of fact, that's one of my favorite therapeutic interventions, theories to use. Or client-centered therapy. We use it, it's interchangeable. That was the first warning sign. Because professional therapists don't go around saying that they're person-centered therapists. They may talk about the therapy that they use in theory, but they don't say that that's the type of therapist they are. They don't do that for the most part.
In private practice in Jonesboro, Georgia. I came about this. This is kind of like a passion of mine because I have always been the one that my friends came to ask me, my opinion and how I saw things. So for me, it was just a natural progression, although in a very untraditional path, because I came out of accounting. And people are like, you went to accounting, but it's funny because see, you never know what the Lord's gonna put in your way. I remember being 23 years old, sitting out in the park and saying, one day I'm going to have a master's degree in accounting and psychology. And I thought that was the craziest thing ever to say, but I said it, and lo and behold, I did it. So there's power in your words.
Okay.
So
okay. Well, to kind of give you a preface to this,
I want to say this, and I'm going to say this again. She did not mention that she had an LPC or an LMFT. She said she had a degree in finance and a degree in psychology, a master's degree in psychology, which qualifies you for that license. A licensed person is going to tell you that they're licensed. Saying you a person. Now, let me tell you what she probably did. She probably took a certification, little course or something, that a two-day class on learning aspects of person-centered therapy that involves reflecting, positive regard, showing unconditional positive regard, and things of that sort, reflecting, summarizing, and all those different aspects of that theory created by Carl Rogers. That's the man that invented person-centered therapy. And they gave you a certificate and said they want you to utilize this type of theory. Okay. So let me look at the 157 mark, because that's where I want to go to.
No. Well, actually, if you check I'm going back on one. Now that you're playing this, not this, Deidre.
Okay, well let me let them until you tell me.
Yeah. So because now I gotta start looking things up now.
Okay.
This is
Go
something
ahead.
interesting. Let's see.
A lot was said who your children are. If you think that children are not liars or manipulative, or children won't sit there and lie or do something fucked up, then you have another thing coming. You have another. That's how we starting off, Miss Kim.
Okay.
A lot of so I was the one speaking and saying that I do think that you do have children that that are manipulative, that do bad things, that we as adults don't necessarily give any credence to. I'm going to keep playing and keep in mind it gets to be even deeper. So I just want you to keep that in mind.
Okay.
Okay. The thing
George,
coming.
Can I please say something, Faith? Please. See, this is where
because Sister George, you're talking about the minority of children. We're not talking about the majority of children tell the truth. We're talking
what
about
I'm saying is, but what I lie. And if I have a friend that's a principal at a school. He's a principal at a grade school. And the shit that comes out of that grade school, the things that are happening in that grade school, you're talking about homosexuality, bisexuality. They're sucking dick on the bus at 10. The girls are dressing sexy at 10 and trying to be seductive.
Please.
Yeah, but this is the thing that we don't.
You're despicable.
You're despicable. Let's not talk about you, sis. Let's not do that.
Can I say
and the whole thing is okay. Like I said, it was going to get deep, and it gets deeper than that. But I do want to know what your thought process is so far, because a situation was introduced to me. The Kevin Samuels video in question, I do want to review that video after we review this video. I've never watched the Kevin Samuels video. While I did review some of his content, that wasn't a thing that I reviewed. And I think it's important that we review it together, but I do want to I want to know what your thought process is behind what you heard so far.
Okay. So far, what I've heard is you clearly stating your opinion. However, you did not fully give the background of the parent should investigate. It did kind of sound like you were saying, but that is true. There is truth in your statement that children can be manipulative.
Okay.
So, I mean, and in dealing with kids, especially if there's a single parent situation and they don't particularly care for the person, they might do something like that. However,
okay, I'm gonna stop there. And Miss Kim is giving her analysis, and she's speaking in reference to what occurred. And I don't really have any issues with what she's saying, for the most part. For the most part. But I do want to highlight that the fact that in the discussion, you know, you're basically hearing a person who actually is a content creator herself. I think she has a podcast, and she's also representing herself in that manner too. But again, I'm looking. My purpose was more about the professional aspect of it, and so on. So there's another part. I think the 157 mark, chaos, or 156. Oh, he left. Chaos, are you there? I'm gonna go at the 156 mark, and then I'm gonna go ahead and end the video itself.
All right.
You said the 156 mark,
What?
right?
Well, this
I'm like, well, she should
this
investigate now.
this
I'm
this
hearing the
I
full
don't think it's
context of
this
this
video.
conversation
It's
now.
not that video. Hold
I
on.
guess I was thinking about it from the standpoint of, if we know that our kids also have a certain nature, like our kids are not gonna always be angels. And I think a lot of women had a problem with me saying that about our kids aren't always angels. And then, like hearing it now, I guess I can see where they would be coming from. But talking about all our kids aren't angels and stuff like that, and saying investigate, I could see why that would trigger a lot of people, especially people who weren't believed when they did say something. And then them being almost like re-victimized because people didn't acknowledge when they were hurt. And then for this situation to come up with come about, I can see how it would sound insensitive.
Yeah. And again, see, sometimes that family vacation I think you just did what this young lady just did. Because if you're asked a question and you feel like you're in a position where you need to give a response without fully processing that response, then that's what happens. Because the scenario that he put forth, A, says it's something else going on, but B, sometimes people just do things for content.
That's also true. Also true. Also true. I'm gonna read the super chats real quick and then I'll continue to play. Shout out to Mr. Curlin. He says,
I want to go ahead and stop it at this point, and I'm gonna move forward because I'm almost at the 2 hour mark. And so you hear her analysis. She's speaking of things, and she is speaking some truths. I don't have any issues with her analysis. She's talking about things in which she felt Sister George may have missed or could have did better. She talked about things that the other panelists have stated. So I don't really have any issues with any of that. Okay. The snippet that I was looking for, I'm not going to be able to find it, so I'm just going to move forward. And I'm just going to move forward for today. So basically, I wanted to kind of talk about that and give rise from my perspective. And you hear of the situation that led to the whole conflict. Then there was a thing where they were using each other's content and so on in that particular situation. Those things were said in a certain way. Ms. Kim's credentials were taken down for what that was. But I know for a fact I did my research on the Georgia State professional counselor and social work and whatever else. They had several different professions that were listed, and they talked about the credentials that you can obtain. And she did not illustrate that in the bio. That's just a fact. And there's nothing I can, I don't know what to say about that. Maybe she's in an internship. She's an ACP. She didn't list that. If she did, I wouldn't have anything to say. I would not have anything to say. So my thing is this, and this is the thing that I have to say. On YouTube, We need to be just careful of things that we say and do on this platform. Chaos, you there?
Yeah, man.
Do you have a timestamp for that video?
No,
Huh?
I'm not sure what video that
Yeah,
was.
but I can't. It ain't gonna do me any good because I don't.
Um,
I'm getting ready to
I'm,
wrap it up because
I'm
I
looking
don't.
right
I
now.
wanted to know so I don't
Hold
have
on,
to be just
hold on.
skirting around on it.
I'm looking right now because
It's okay.
yeah,
I'm okay because I have
you're
to
doing
go and
live
do
stream.
some things anyway. So I'm at my 2 hour mark anyway. So we're good. So anything you have to say, Chaos, in regards to the content show today?
You know, I've noticed some when we were talking about this, and I left it alone a bit. But so one thing I did, I went and watched the actual stream about the therapy session, and trust me, that was good. But I did not know when you came around from your take because I haven't watched the faith part of it, but because I know you a little longer and I have streams with you that you not only know your stuff, but you know if people are gonna go and seek therapy, they should talk to someone that's in the field and what to look for. Unfortunately, so I will take your word for it because you actually have the credentials.
Right, right.
And trust me, you know what you're doing.
Yes, I do.
So I can't criticize what you have presented or known so far, you know, and especially and here's my thing with people that's professions, you know. I look at now, and this is just me, and anybody could take their own take. If you've been doing this for over a decade, you are actually qualified because it takes you gotta be in it for almost close to 10 years because you're real seasoned enough, you know what I'm saying? You take your bumps and bruises. You get me?
Mm-hmm.
If you knew, you can still deal with them, but always be cautious because they're still learning as they go, you know. So that's my only take on that personally. And one thing because you know I was like I said today you present this. I went back to go watch that early today. And you know, Sister George will have her criticisms towards you, Deidre, and I get because you know you're the person in the space that you're not like because you call it straight down the middle, and you're a therapist, so you know what you're talking about. You know, you're not gonna sit there and tell people say I'm talking foolishness. I'm telling you this to follow me. No, I'm giving you this professional views of this, and how I would deal with it personally. You know,
Right.
so like I said, I rather and not also you, but Topaz is in the same field as well. You get
Facts.
me? Now, mind you, Topaz is a little hard to get because she's doing things right now. I think she's writing a book right now. So, like, yeah.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Well, last time I remember, I could be wrong, and Topaz, if she's watched, she could check this. But yeah, like I said, she said some things about you, but it is cool with us, you know. Like I said, if it helps her get through what she's going through, that's fine. I wouldn't push no therapist if they don't really got the real credentials to people. You get me?
Right.
It won't be ethical. If I did that shit and found out it was, I would get, I'll get talked on, bro. Personally, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't want to risk that shit. So if I present anybody, at least they got one, if they're in the field, they gotta know what they're talking about. Two, if they are well qualified, then I'll do it. And one thing is clear that people don't say this. That this is not my this is only don't take this that you know you're supposed to leave a disclaimer personally.
Right.
So I think most people need to start doing that so they don't get no scrutiny personally. Like you know, TLA, he is a actual lawyer, but he said well it's not legal advice. Or people say financial, but this is not legal financial things because they want to get pushback. I think most people need to start doing that personally.
Yeah,
You know?
he put a disclaimer.
Put a real logical disclaimer because people, when they like your dissertation, they're going to really seek you out and think, oh, you're an actual professional. Can you help me this? And then you guys, whoa. You know what I'm saying? You want to put yourself in a certain sticky situation.
You sure don't?
I've never seen it happen, but I see why people do the disclaimers because it's very risky now. People get sued for less.
Yeah. And I have a separate channel. My Life Solutions channel is designated towards the professional stuff.
Yeah.
I save it for that channel. So
Yeah.
I don't mix it anymore because I understand people get, you know, all miscombobulated and confused and think this and think that. So
people are not ready for therapy, bro. See, it's nice to talk about Black people need therapy, and I advocate it wholeheartedly. I will say it's a necessity, but how we're thinking, how we're behaving as people as a whole, we could suggest anything all day, every day, but it's going to conflict a lot of people because a lot of people have other issues, trauma, or something that they're not ready to reveal to a private consultant because
right.
it's going to bring back dark memories, you know, and I get it. But for the sake of your overall health moving forward, you're going to have to face those demons head on. You're not going to live in this world with demons and you think you're going to survive. Because how the world's structured now, they find every opportunity to take advantage of your weakness. And one of the things they're going to do now is if you're not going to seek professional help, they're going to hit you with psychiatric drugs. And those are just as deadly than sitting down for like an hour or more for a session. Yeah, so. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, man, I'm about to go ahead and call it a day. Got some things I have to get to for my practice and so forth. Appreciate you for coming in. Go ahead and let you out. All right. All right, guys. This is D Darrell the Rebirth. Appreciate you all for coming in. I'm just recently recovered from COVID. I will be doing some uploads and different things in the upcoming days, so look out for that. Look out for my Manosphere content. Look out for just anything relative to the Manosphere space itself or in Black YouTube. I will do commentary on. Y'all have a great day. Peace.